Tyson's Gift podcast was created to promote the normalization of metaphysical and spiritual topics, particularly the reality that we are all eternal souls having an earthly experience. Obviously, this will cover a wide berth of topics such as animal communication, mediumship, the paranormal, past life regression, energy healing, you name it. Brandon hopes to entertain his audience with fascinating discussions with experts, as well as everyday folks who have metaphysical experiences and knowledge to share. The intention is to help make esoteric topics fun, relatable, and credible for audiences of all backgrounds. And here is your host of the Tyson's Gift podcast, Brandon Wainwright.
Hi, Pat. What's happening? Oh, well, hello. Welcome to the Tyson's Gift podcast on WLTK-DB Talk Radio. I'm your host, Brandon Wainwright, and this is my trusty co-host, Pepper Wainwright, who, if you are familiar with my book, Tyson's Gift, you know why she's an essential part of this show. I'm excited tonight to have on Chellie and Mike Kammermeyer, who actually I took Reiki, my Reiki master class from them, and also animal Reiki. So they're friends of mine. I used to do Reiki shares with them weekly out in Danville, California. But they are the owners of Inner Compass Reiki, where they offer Reiki sessions and classes in Danville, California, Lincoln City, Oregon, as well as online. Mike was Chellie's first Reiki client when she learned the art more than 18 years ago, and she kept him from having to have his 7th back surgery. So I think you're going to find the show to be fascinating and down to earth. And let's go ahead and with no further ado, let's bring on our guests.
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, Brandon.
Howdy. Long time.
Yeah. It's been crazy.
Yeah, it sure has. Right now, are you in Danville?
No, right now we're in Lincoln City.
You're in Lincoln City. Okay. So, but you were in Danville just recently, right?
Right.
Yeah.
We go down there once a month.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't you let's start off with I love hearing your story about how Chellie, how you got into Reiki. So a lot of the shows that I've done so far have focused on like animal communicators, mediums, healers, like not necessarily Reiki. Reiki is a subject that's broached here and there, but for a lot of people, Reiki is the more relatable modality, right? Because it's more mainstream, more people know about it. So it'll be interesting to get your perspective and encourage people to get on board and go with their own practice if they're feeling that. So yeah, why don't you go ahead and start off by telling us how you started? Because by the way, Chellie, you were a service manager, weren't you, or parts?
Yeah, I was a service manager in a car dealership.
Yeah, and Mike, you were real estate, right?
Yeah, I was into mortgage loans.
Okay, not exactly woo-woo subjects. So you both are examples of people from more conventional backgrounds that ended up going into things that were more Eastern or less conventional. So go ahead. I think the audience will enjoy it.
So let's see. I guess the first thing to know. Well, we have 2 sons. Our youngest son, when he went to college, after he graduated, he was, very grateful for all of our help during college. So he decided he wanted to get us a gift certificate or get me something nice for Mother's Day. And it was, he had the idea that he was going to go buy some, very expensive purse, go to Nordstrom's or somewhere and buy a purse. And when he went into the office of at the apartment where he lived, to ask where the mall was, because he didn't even know, because he hadn't been there that long, she was suggested strongly that a purse may not be the best choice to buy for your mom. Like, did you get the right, do you know what color? Do you know what size? Do you know what brand? Do you know, how long is it going to be? All the things. So then she was trying to help him figure out where he should, what he should get me instead. And she asked him if I knew Reiki, and he said, I don't know what that is, so I don't know if she knows what it is. And she said, well, it's hands-on healing is the short version. And he said, well, if she knew that, I'm sure she would have tried that on me by now. So he asked, where can I, find out more about that for her? And she said, well, I teach it. And he said, can you get me a gift certificate today? And suddenly, here it was 5 minutes to 10, and he still had time to go do 18 holes of golf and then come back and pick up his gift certificate. And so he brought it over to me and the next day with this card with this gift certificate in it. And I had no idea what it was. But the thing was, he couldn't, I couldn't not go to the class because he was going to also take me out for dinner afterwards. So he would see my car in the parking lot. He would know if I was there. I couldn't just.
So you were hesitant?
At first I didn't know what it was. And I thought, this is.
You were driving down there.
Yeah, I was driving we lived in San Ramon. It was in San Jose. And I worked in San Jose. So that meant I drove. It was another day of driving down there. And and I didn't know what it was. And this was before Google. I went on to Ask Jeeves. That's what there was back then. And it said lawn instrument,
Reiki.
Oh, Reiki.
They thought I was misspelling it. So I had no idea what I was getting into. So when I walked in there, I was like, what is even happening here? So, but during the class, I realized, how beneficial it'd be for Mike. I didn't know back then. And it took me a long time to learn how Reiki is really, can be for yourself more than for other people. And so my first thought was, oh, this will be great. And I came home and from the first, my first class and said, okay, I'm going to put my hands on your back and we're going to heal you. And so, that was.
To which Mike said,
sure you are.
Yeah.
To which Mike said, I don't think so. And, that was, over 18 years ago. It was for Mother's Day. So I think we're coming up on 19 years.
And it was, Mike was about to go for his 7th back surgery at that point, right?
Right.
He was scheduled for back surgery.
Yeah, it was scheduled about 30 days away. And she came home and put her hands on my back and it got really hot. And I go, what is this? She have a heating pad back there or something. And about 2 or 3 weeks later, it was, I didn't have any more pains down my legs or anything like that. So I called the doctor and he said, well, this is probably placebo. So, call me back when it starts hurting again. And that was, almost 20 years ago. So
yeah,
there you go.
Yeah. That's how a lot of times it gets into people is by having a remarkable experience like that or knowing someone that did. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay. So I'm kind of going to keep it just down to earth because you're an example of how, people that weren't necessarily geared this way that just got won over by the realities of it. Right.
I mean, Adam said that, I was really into woo-woo stuff.
But not really, not compared to.
Now I look at it and I think, No, I wasn't, because
Yeah.
at the time, we still had newspapers, so I read my horoscope and, the generic in the newspaper. And I had read the book about the law of attraction. That was it. Like, as far as woo-woo,
Yeah.
go a whole lot deeper.
Yeah. Yeah. But it goes to show you the different levels that people are at with,
Mhm.
with their awareness.
Right.
So once this happened, okay, so wow, Mike, were you won over at that point?
I was convinced, yes. And then later on, she taught me Reiki. And I go up to Alaska every year because my family's up there and they go hunting and all that. And I fly the airplane. I just sit around a campfire because it's friends I've known all my life are there. So when I first told them we're doing Reiki, they said, you've been in California way too long. You got to get out of there. And now I go up there, I'll sit around a campfire or something, and one of the guys come over and say, my shoulder hurts. Can you do that Reiki on my shoulder or something? It's pretty funny though to see how the real negative turned to a real positive. So
yeah, I mean
that's
it's common for
yeah,
that to happen. I mean, empirical evidence that's right in front of you. It's
sure,
that's the best evidence, right? Is the stuff that you actually experience for yourself.
Right.
absolutely.
So from there, where did you go? I mean, so now you're like, whoa, this is some real stuff.
So
What do I
then,
do now?
so then what happened is Mike was like this walking billboard where he worked.
Hmm.
And, his back was better. Somebody, would call in sick to work and he'd say, well, you should probably go see my wife. She can help you. Your knees hurt, your shoulders hurt, your boyfriend broke up with you. It didn't matter. He sent everybody to get Reiki. And I'd come home from work and I'd see people, I just ran it, and it was very organic. Somebody would come in and then they would tell somebody. And so eventually, I was at the point where I needed a space to do it. So that's how we ended up with our office in Danville. I rented a room a couple of days a week. And then just over time, I got more and more clients, and then Mike started seeing people too. And we ran out of time that we had available. So we ended up renting the office, the whole room or the space there.
So it just organically grew. You just
It was just, so, and I, the first round of people, like if Mike sent somebody, I didn't charge them because I felt like the exchange was that I was getting the practice to have. And because, there's so many things that you learn at the very beginning, like, do your hands get hot? Do your hands get cold? What does that mean? What happens if your hands are, somebody is shaking on the table? There's so many different experiences that you can have that getting some of those experiences allows you to, I felt like it was a great exchange. And then over time, there was just more and more people.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cooper.
Yeah. So, and then, the other part of that story is I'd always wanted to be the service manager at the car dealership. I mean, that was like my thing. And I'd worked for a long time, a lot of hours, like, probably 70 hours a week or more sometimes. And so I went to see this. Somebody told me about this woman who's an intuitive. And so I was like, yeah, I'll go. Maybe it'll help. So I went in with the question of what do I need to do to get promoted? And she started laughing. And she said, well, you'll get that, but that's not what you're meant to do. And I said, well, what does that mean? And she said, well, you're meant to do healing work. Now, I started laughing then because I was like, I'm not going back to school to be a doctor or a nurse or any of that kind of stuff. Like, that's not me. I faint at the sight of blood. No, thank you. And so I left thinking, this is,
$100 you don't get
yeah,
back.
this is $100 I'm never getting back. Like it just seemed like
Mhm.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then about a year later was when I got that gift certificate from Adam.
Yeah. That's so funny.
And then
It's better.
like probably 4 or 5 years later, I was doing Reiki with a woman who did acupuncture. And she would put the needles in, and then I would do Reiki on them. And it was an amazing combination. And she asked me one time, she said, one of my friends is coming in tonight after you're supposed to leave, but can you stay? Because I really think it would be helpful for her. It was the intuitive.
Yeah.
Karen.
Really?
And Karen was like,
I told you.
you look so familiar to me. And I said, you look familiar to me too, when we finally figured it out. And it's her office. Like we eventually, I mean, she's one of my dearest friends. And so now, it was her office that we were able to, rent a room and have the
So it
space.
really seemed guided.
Yeah.
It's very synchronous.
Yeah.
So within your practice, I mean, you teach other people Reiki, and you also offer different types of Reiki. What are the different Reiki types of Reiki energy that you work with?
So we work with almost exclusively with Holy Fire Reiki, which is through the International Center for Reiki Training. We're licensed teachers, and so there's, I think, 40 of us in the world that have the level of training that we do. And so we teach the level 1 and 2, which level 1 gives you the ability to do Reiki on yourself and on family and friends. And then the second level gives you the ability to share it with people that are not physically near you. You can send it to the past, to the future. Then there's the master level, which gives you the ability to share Reiki as a teacher. Then we teach Karuna, and Karuna means compassionate action. So it's another higher vibration energy. We also combine Reiki with crystals, drumming. Mike does Reiki journeys. He developed that. We also teach a class called SSR, which is a combination of Reiki and Sekem energy, which is from the Egyptian energy. So it's a combination of those two.
Wow. So it's not Reiki at all. It's completely different.
Oh, it's combined with Reiki. So the two of them together, it kind of creates this matrix of different energy.
Wow, that's that. So I was going to ask you about that. So I've taken classes at Delphi. I think I've told you about Delphi. But the class, there's a class called Energy Healer, and it's similar in terms of the way it's applied to Reiki. And as far as I'm concerned, when I work with it, the energy feels the same to me. I mean, it's vibrational, it's electrical, it's heat. The different sensations that I feel, it's the same, but the actual energy that's coming through is different. It's it's through spirit doctors that in the astral plane that are channeling through. You can also include Christ, the archangels, but a lot of times, particularly when I'm working distance, I'll include Reiki with that and just combine. Hey, throw the kitchen sink at it and let them decide who's best for this particular case. So you're gonna.
No, I was just, I'm just listening.
Sometimes I wonder, and I mean, I know the energies are all different, but they're all spiritual light energy, right? So I sometimes I just wonder, is it all the same? I mean, I don't think it is, but
Do you want my opinion?
yeah.
Here it comes.
I think healing energy is kind of like a radio with all the airwaves, and each different is like a different station. So it might be tapping into the same source, but the way that it presents itself can be very different. And so why I love Reiki is because I'm lazy. I don't want to, and I'm not kidding, I really am. I don't want to use my energy to work with other people. I like allowing it to flow through me, and it's not mine. And so I have all my life force. I know that there's a lot of different modalities where you share your energy, you build it up, and then you work with people for a long time to be able to share it. I'm just too lazy to share mine. I don't want.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like
and why, I mean, if it's coming from light, if it's coming from the light, it's going to be of the purest form, right? So
Right.
why dumb it down with your energy?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And I feel like so I feel like that the energy, like different things, like we the karuna energy is specific symbols, and they mean specific things, and it by having access to that energy, you don't necessarily have to use the symbols or draw the symbols. And if your listeners don't know what that is, we can talk about, you can mention that. But it allows you to access specific frequencies and specific ways of sending energy differently. So like in Karuna, for instance, one of the symbols means peace. One of them is for grounding. One of them is for connection to spirit. So like there's just different things that you use it for different reasons.
Okay. But it's all part of Reiki.
But it's all Reiki, because it's all from that same, I envision this old-fashioned radio dial where it's all the energy. It's just different stations.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. That's a good way to put it. So Mike, you do the Reiki journey, which is really interesting. That's not something most people have probably heard of, and people that are listening in right now. So can you enlighten us on that?
I can't. Well, yeah, I'll try. It's the difference. What Reiki journey is, the way I can do it over the phone or in person, and I prefer in person because your client is laying on your massage table or whatever you want to call it, and you do start out with Reiki, and I find out where they want to go in their journey. It's a guided meditation mostly. And the difference in this and a regular meditation is I go with you on your meditation, on your journey. So it starts out with, of testing your senses and that if you see, if you hear, you feel, you smell, any of those different things are the major part of it. And then we go on a journey, and a lot of times I don't know where we're going. It depends what your intention is, and I just try to get to yours. But most of the time, we get a little ways into it, and then you're leading, and I'm just following you, and I'm picking up what you're seeing, and we talk about it as we go. So we're talking like we are right now when we do the journey.
So you're literally clairvoyantly seeing the same thing that the client's seen.
Sure, you can call it that. It's a little.
That is exactly it.
Yeah. To define it is it's harder than doing it. You know what I mean?
Well, maybe for you.
Yeah. But it's really enlightening. I've never had anybody not like it. I mean, some people see they go into a past life, They will see maybe either a passed on relative, a grandparents, a mother, father, any kind of relative. And they can have conversations with them, which is really cool. And I just guide them through the process. We come back and, everybody just kind of sits there going, wow,
Yeah.
I mean, I think we did one, didn't we?
We did, yeah. And I remember up to that point, you joked around. You said that the only person that you'd ever had on a Reiki journey that didn't connect, that wasn't able to have an experience, was on drugs. Like I can't remember what drug it was, but they were on something that they weren't supposed to be on. And then there was me. Yeah. And because I still have that issue to some extent, get in my head too much, and it's hard for me to let go, but I've gotten better. But despite that though, I remember there was at one point we were on the beach and my granddad and Tyson came walking up. And I remember I picked up Tyson and held him, and I could feel him and see him, and it was definitely him. And it was, yeah. And then that night I sent a picture, I think, to Chellie just to show you of Tyson to see if it was the same
Dog,
thing.
yeah.
And yeah, and sure enough, it was him. So wasn't surprised. And my granddad, what you described of my granddad, it was obviously my dad's dad walking with him. Yeah. So that was, I may not have had like a real vivid journey, but I still got an experience out of it. So that was pretty cool. So what kinds of, besides just curiosity, of what might come up, what types of, benefits have you seen people get from that?
Well, I've seen it as much as people get closure. They had something they wanted to say to their parent or someone, and they were able to do that. At least they believe they were, so that's the important part. And I really think it's just the psychic relationship that they have with people that have passed on, and I'm kind of honing in on the passed on part because that is probably the majority of the journeys end up. People seeing somebody that a loved one that they've missed, and they can have a conversation with them. So, that's just one part. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do.
Do you ever find like physical healing occurring during it?
Yeah.
I would say that.
Sure you do.
Sure. It's I don't know. I keep going back to my back on it, and I've had people where they actually feel better when we're finished. I mean, they could have a knee problem, they could have a wrist, an arm, heartache. That isn't quite physical, but it is physical.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's all kinds of things that make it happen. And part of the journey now is I recently completed my shamanism training to become a shaman, and you would find that probably very interesting with how you relate to Reiki, because I'm doing the shamanic practices, and I look at it and say, okay, I think we do some of that in Reiki, but where did it come first, from Reiki or the shaman?
Yeah.
Who was here first?
Yeah.
But there is all kinds of back and forth things that we do, and it's all about the metaphysical. On a journey, for instance, you and I go on a journey. In the shaman practices, the shaman goes on a journey and comes back and talks to the client.
Yeah.
Okay.
But but it is similar. Yeah. I mean,
it's very similar because it's a lot of the things are the same, or they seem the same, because I've done so much of it. I can see, well, maybe I was getting that from the shamans to begin with, part of it. And, but it just comes back. It's all, spiritual, where you're talking to spirit, you're communicating, you have your guides, and so on through it. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Well, it sounds like you probably have been a shaman quite a bit in past lives, and and this is just you going into what's natural. Sounds like I mean, the Reiki journey, and essentially you're, that's what you're doing right there, and that would just spontaneously happen for you, right?
Right. It just started doing it one day. I was doing it was a Reiki session on somebody, and I started talking to him when we started going on this thing, and I'm going like, wow, well, just follow this out, see where it goes. So yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, but it's all, I think it just gets into, your psychic in that, and it just opens things up for you.
Yeah, depending on what your clairs are. Yeah, because Chellie, don't you envy Mike and his ability to do this?
Yeah, of course I do. But my clair is, I'm clairsentient. Like I just feel things, or claircognizant. Like I'll know something.
Yeah.
Whereas, he gets to see things. I don't know. I want to give up what I have to have what he has. I just want it too.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. That's why I've talked about this before, but with Delphi, there's a lot of talented people that go there because that's why they're going to that school, is because they're trying to hone their skills and make sense of them and that sort of thing. And generally speaking, I'm the one that's more. Yeah, I mean, if I am going to have clairs, it's going to be more clairsentient, claircognizant, and so a lot of the people there have these really strong clairvoyant abilities, or clairs. Some of them are clair everything, and so you're doing these different exercises as a class, and it's like, man, I wish I could do that, but yeah, I'm past that now. I'm over it at this point. I put a lot of pressure on myself. Well, that. I mean, I did it in your classes too. But yeah, but it continued on over there, and I finally just, what, I'm tired of this, of putting this pressure on myself, and you just go with what you got and accept it and know that it'll open when it's meant to. There's some people wanted to say hello. So Courtney Lopez is on as always. Hi, Courtney. Keith Fletcher, he's here. He's always here. And thank you for being here, Keith. Primrose Lamb. You remember Primrose?
Yes.
Yeah.
She says San Francisco in the house, and she also says hi, Mike and Chellie. So she's delighted to see you here. And actually, I don't think Tanya ever took a class from you. Tanya Lewis doesn't. No, I don't think she ever. She was in the class that Primrose and I were both in together, but she's also in the house. And Lynn Galliano.
Oh, hi, Lynn.
Hi, Lynn.
Yeah, she's tuned in and saying hello. And yeah, so you've got lots of people that love you here.
That's nice.
So, I mean, what drives you? What keeps you going with it? I mean, you're doing your thing each day. You keep, you're helping people and you're teaching people. And what kind of keeps you interested?
For me, I'll answer and then you can answer. My thing is I love seeing the results of how it changes people's lives. Like I love seeing people over a course of, like, sure, it's great to see somebody in the first class or to see them for one session, but I love being able to see people for extended amounts of time, so that I can see the results of how it changes their lives over time, and for the better. And I realize it's not me that's doing that. I know that it's spirit but I love being the instrument that's bringing it to them.
Yeah, it's funny when you said, I know it's not me. It reminds me of well, what year did I guess I started coming to your office in, I guess, mid to late 2018, I think it was, or 2019. Um, so, that was quite a while ago, but I can remember talking about the ego, with how hard it's so hard to put that aside, when you're trying to work on somebody. And it, well, it still can be at times, depending on where you're at personally, if you're struggling with something or your confidence level is down for whatever reason. But yeah, it's like looking back on it, it's like completely different now. It's so much more trust as time goes on, as you work with the energies and you see the results. It becomes so much easier to just let that go and just let it flow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about you, Mike? What keeps you going?
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I mean, when we first were introduced to Reiki way back when, it was, I became a believer, right off the bat, pretty much with the back healing and that, and to see what it was doing for other people. And then we found out that, kind of our lives were just kind of pointed in that direction. We don't want to do anything else but do Reiki and work with people spiritually and maybe you can heal them or help heal them. That's where you get rid of the ego part, right? I healed them. That's what she told me at first. She's going to heal me, and I said, well. Yeah. And now we know it's not there.
I didn't know that's the way. I didn't know that at that time.
Yeah.
But we love living where we live. We love doing what we're doing. And somebody asked me, when are you going to retire? And I said, I don't know. Because we work together all the time. And it's something that, like our Reiki 1 class, and I always go back to that because it's really fun to watch somebody get it. When they first know that they can actually do Reiki, because to watch her eyes go big and I'm not on fire either, so it's a type of thing that it's fun to watch. And the other part for me is that I get to work with the woman that I love, love of my life. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you can't put a value on that.
I don't have to do dishes tonight, maybe. But anyway, that's where it's so fun. So when are we going to stop doing this? I don't know. When we can't,
Yeah. Why would you?
Yeah. We enjoy doing it. We enjoy working with each other, and we don't fight at all because she should beat me up if I go the other way.
Of course, she's.
So bad and so mean.
Yeah.
So now you also offer animal Reiki, right?
We do.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
That's yours.
That's me. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, animal Reiki is a separate energy that we've Colleen and some of the other people channeled it. So there's a animal Reiki 1 and 2 and master. Right? Mm-hmm. And I lose the count on the 1 and 2 and 3, but it's because it's fairly new to us. But the energy is incredible, and I thought of you a lot about the Reiki energy for animals because
he was in our first class.
I remember he was in the first class.
Yeah.
It's kind of he didn't go to the house, did he, with the dogs?
Yeah.
Oh, you were at the dog.
Yeah, the Husky Rescue. Yeah.
The Husky Rescue. Well, there was a perfect example of how it worked, right?
Yeah. That was
dogs in there, and 5 minutes later, they're all sleeping at somebody's feet that is doing Reiki on them. So
yeah.
I remember I got a good picture of you. Matter of fact, 2 dogs licking your face or something.
Really?
We'll have to send those to you.
Yeah, I'd like that. It sounds like something I would enjoy.
We went to a horse rescue last year in Paso Robles, and we did what, 3 days, 5 days of classes there?
5 days.
5 days of classes with the horses. We were outside with the horses, and it was interesting to see the response. The horses had a great response for it.
Wow.
They'd see you over here by a fence, and they'd come over to you.
Yeah.
And we even played the singing bowls for them, like these behind us. There, and the animals were just incredible. It was
Responding to them.
Mhm.
it was fun, and they love it. So it's just nice to know that people, for instance, might not like it or something, but animals definitely love it because they're all over you.
People have all the hang-ups and different biases and different things to keep them from taking it in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, everybody's got all their layers of life, It's kind of like an artichoke.
Yeah.
There's all those different, you've got to peel away all those layers before you get to the heart.
Yeah.
And sometimes people have really, really prickly edges that,
Yeah.
take time to, get them there.
But animals typically, unless they've got a lot of baggage themselves, usually they don't.
Yeah.
Usually they can take it right in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what, besides Mike, I mean, can you give some examples of remarkable healings that have occurred in your practice? Kind of put you on the spot there. I know it's hard. It's hard to think of them off the top of your head sometimes.
Well, I had one man come in that his doctor had told him he should come for Reiki because he didn't have any other answers for him. That he had a frozen shoulder and he didn't know, there was nothing they could do for it. And maybe he should try Reiki. And in one session, his shoulder was completely better. Like I stayed in touch with him for like 2 years and he never had another problem.
Yeah.
About the babies.
Oh yeah. So one of our clients, her baby was, while she was pregnant, the baby was supposed to be, they're supposed to be up and down, and the baby was sideways. And she was a tiny, tiny woman. She is a tiny, tiny woman. And so the doctor was going to do a cesarean, but they didn't want to cut sideways across with a baby like that. They wanted the baby to turn. So she came in for one session and the baby turned. But the baby turned with its feet first and the head high. So it would have been breech, even though, they were going to do, and it was upside down. So she came in like 2 days later and we did another session. And while I had my hand on her tummy, I felt that baby give me a high five and it did a flip right then. And it went just exactly. So she was born 2 days later and she was perfectly fine.
Wow.
So
this baby's incredible. This girl is.
That little girl is amazing. She's been doing Reiki, I think, ever since she was born. And let's see another one.
Yeah. Ones with the doctor's office.
Oh,
artificial.
Yeah, we also did Reiki with several couples who were going through IVF, and we would do Reiki while they were doing the before, the during, the after of the all of the process. And there's lots of babies now.
Yeah.
We were running 100%.
Yeah. While that doctor was working with us, we were at 100%. In fact, like everybody that we worked with got pregnant on that, try.
That's incredible. I had an interesting experience a few months ago with my cousin. Actually, it's been more than just a few months now, but she had in vitro, and it was I'm not sure if they'd actually implanted yet or not, but they were in their last egg, and it was like, wasn't sure if it was going to take or not. And her husband were, just kind of trying to be cautiously optimistic. And what happened was, he had oral surgery, and the doctor botched it. And so he had all this nerve damage in his tongue where he had lost the use of half of his tongue, which, gosh, Josh is like the nicest guy, like salt of the earth kind of guy. And so I decided to send Reiki for him, just to help him. So while I was sending him Reiki, I got this image in my head of a panoramic Easter egg. Just flashed, and it was blue. And so, I wasn't thinking about the baby or anything like that. All I was thinking about was helping him with his mouth. But I got this panoramic Easter egg. So immediately I thought, oh, they're going to have a boy. They're going to have a boy. So I was so sure of it that I actually texted my cousin and let her know what I had seen. And they were so happy, they cried, and I was like, oh boy, what did I just do? If this doesn't work out, I'm really going to feel terrible, So about a month later, she tells me she's pregnant, but she had a little girl. And I was so irritated because I was so sure it was going to be a boy, because it was so obviously blue. It was very distinct. And they had their gender reveal at their at my cousin's mom's house in St. Petersburg, and I can't remember, they did fireworks, and I was sure it was going to be blue, and I was like, is that pink? Are you kidding me? And I told them I'm going to hold off until she's born, because I don't believe it, but sure enough, yep. Let's see. Courtney says, she's just curious over here, but do you guys work with special needs children? My mind is debating whether to ask this because I don't want it to be taken the wrong way, but I have heard of some doing hypnosis to help with eating or sleeping habits.
We have worked with kids with special needs. Yes, we have. There have been some really little children, little babies that we worked with that were developmentally very slow, and we worked with them quite a bit.
And it seemed to be beneficial.
And it seemed to be beneficial. I mean, I think one of the things that was hard for the parents, for some parents, is that might just be part of their path and their process. And so,
yeah,
being more comfortable with accepting that this is where we're headed is also kind of part of it too.
Yeah, our path sometimes isn't, like we were talking about off the air,
Yeah.
Sometimes it isn't what we want.
Yeah. Or, you don't know, all the wonderful things that can happen if you are on that path, because you aren't there yet.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's important to keep that in mind, although it's very difficult sometimes too. So, do you want to plug, any particular services or your website or anything like that?
Sure. Well, we're Inner Compass Reiki. One of the things I'm doing is I'm working with a couple other licensed teachers, and we're in the process of developing a kids Reiki program, and it's the Teach the Teachers, so that the teachers will have all the tools to teach kids Reiki. And so we've got there's a sign up on my website, or our website, to we're not there yet. We think we're going to be teaching by December. So that's if people are interested in that.
So you're going to teach people to teach the kids?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Like in schools and stuff?
Well, or small classes, or because we've taught some kids Reiki classes. We've taught several kids Reiki classes.
So, but you're going to actually
And-
have a certification program for that. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
So,
we have lots of classes coming up, and they're all on the website.
and that's Inner Compass, INNER, not INTER, INNERCOMPASS,
Uh-huh.
Reiki.com.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm debating whether I should do it. Normally I have a segment at the end of the show called Brando's Potty Humor of the Week. and I ask the guests if they have any funny stories involving potty humor, farts, just funny, like real life situations that have popped up for them that they would like to share just for kicks. Huh?
I do not have
No?
any. No.
What do you want? Good?
You need to not talk.
Okay.
Are you going to deny, Mike?
I don't know.
All right. I understand. Okay. Well, I think, do you have anything else you want to add or wrap anything?
No,
No.
we're just happy to be here, and we really appreciate you having us.
Yeah. Same.
Bowls a little bit.
Oh yeah, we're distributors now for Crystal Tones bowls. So the
Okay.
like behind us we sell those too.
And you can get those on the website.
Yeah.
Very cool. Singing bowls. Beautiful. Very cool. And you do the crystal trees too, right?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Still.
Yeah. And those are cool too. All right. Well, thank you for coming on. It's good. It's very good to see you. And I hope we can catch up soon.
Yeah.
Great to see you, Brandon.
It's great to see you too.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for coming out and watching tonight, and have a great rest of the week.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.